You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go wild.
I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number 322.
Like George Bush before him, the current Florida Governor Ron DeSantis also went to Yale University. Question is, was he in a secret society there? Just one of the issues we'll explore as we take a look at the dark side of Ron DeSantis and his connections to London, to the British Queen and to the military-industrial complex. Of course, Yale secret societies aren't closed and only available to Republicans. They're open to anyone who can keep a secret.
You both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us?
Not much, because it's a secret.
Is there a secret handshake? Is there a secret code?
I wish.
Now, after his time in Yale, Ron DeSantis went on to study in Harvard, law in Harvard, before joining the Navy, first at an ordinary level and then moving on to act as a lieutenant and to advise Navy SEAM Teal 1. But as I say, these institutions contain a rogues gallery of people who don't have to be in secret societies to be legendary, like Harvard, Lloyd Blankfein, Sidney Blumenthal, Bush Jr., Bill Gates, Al Gore. It is a rogues gallery of individuals who attend these institutions like Harvard, Stanford, where, quite frankly, they love everything British. They absolutely fawn over the royals, and even thinking about kissing royal ass makes them wet their panties. This is the kind of Yale again. We see Bush, Axelrod, Biden, Clinton, the other Clinton. This is the seed ground, folks, of a political class that is not particularly friendly to your interests. Now, DeSantis definitely was not in the Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones is, as you see there, it's an emblem of pirates. Not exactly the kind of favourable thing to pick, but this was very popular with the fraternities, of course. And there was another one, another organisation, however, St. Elmo's, which was a semi-secret organisation, and lots of questions as to whether Ron DeSantis was or wasn't in it. St. Elmo's logo is, and St. Elmo's, the patron saint of mariners, by the way, it's not a pirate ship, it's a Viking ship. They were the original pirates. And up at the top, over the mast there, you see St. Elmo's flame, which is a spirit light which lights the way for the ship. So what they say doesn't matter. Here's the Wikipedia page for St. Elmo's secret society in Yale, and it lists its notable members. And those notable members do not include, they include John Ashcroft, US Attorney General recently, for example, but they do not include Ron DeSantis. At least they don't now. And back in 2019, in October the 3rd, as the Wayback Machine records, it didn't list Ron DeSantis as a member of St. Elmo's, but it did on the 12th of May 2021. Somebody entered that in and listed Ron DeSantis, the current governor of Florida, as a member of that group. Now, on August the 17th, he was still there, listed as a member of the group in 2021. By September 2021, he's still listed there. He's listed in December of 2021, Ron DeSantis, current governor, member of St. Elmo's. He's listed in May of this year, but by the time we get to July of this year, he's gone again. Somebody scrubbed all details of his membership from the record. And obviously, if you go to Wikipedia today and look up St. Elmo's, it doesn't list Ron DeSantis, and you wouldn't know about it were it not for the stalwart efforts of individuals associated with FBCoverup.com and American intelligence media, who've been tracking some of this stuff. That's red flag number 1 on the dark side of Ron DeSantis. Red flag number 2, a tragic event, is the following. On the 12th of May 2015, with Ron now working in Florida, appointed by the Justice Department as an attorney, his sister, Christina Marie DeSantis, died in London in mysterious circumstances at the age of 30. I say mystery because even the memorial listings simply record that she died unexpectedly and say no more. And this is actually a memorial page from curlewhills.com with very few tributes, it has to be said. Nevertheless, from Pat and John Alvarez, who say they always look forward to seeing Christina when she was home and have fond memories of her vibrant spirit, and others expressing sympathy. But one question stands out there, someone who simply posted, "How did she die?" That is a good question. Christina was most recently, just ahead of her death, employed as a financial consultant for KPMG. KPMG, the international financial company. Now, reportedly, she was working for KPMG Volcker, a specialist elite tier within KPMG, and she was in an audit function there where she would have had oversight. And I haven't been able to verify it, but obviously because of that, people are expressing concerns that there was some issue that she may have had sight of as an auditor, which may have been the cause of her untimely death in London in 2015. But before we make our mind up on that, and let's just take a look at KPMG, whose current website leads off with the exhortation to you to let insights accelerate your climate action. But as her obituary on legacy.com shows, it wasn't just her family left bereft by that death. The obituary notes that she also left her fiancé, Stephen Paseyevich, in London. Stephen Paseyevich. And 7 years later, this is the LinkedIn page for Stephen. And excuse my mangling of his surname. Assistant editor at the Assembly Rooms. And he hasn't posted recently. And he was a student who studied editing and post-production in recent years as well. But as we track back into his background, we find that just up until 1 year prior to the death of Christina, that Stephen had been working for Coutts Bank in London. Coutts Bank, known also as the Queen's Bank. In fact, founded in 1692, it's the 8th oldest bank in the world, but don't show up at the door. They really won't open an account for you unless you have $1 million bucks or so to lodge. But this is Coutts Bank, the Queen's Bank, and that's where this guy was working. Just by a matter of interest, the Queen's Bank facilitated the move by the Queen to move millions of dollars financially in a bet that there would be a Brexit deal, which defies widespread market scepticism. So that's Coutts, a very, very key private bank. So let's review a little. We've got the patron saint of mariners. We've got that naval maritime connection from St. Elmo's in Yale. He's gone to Harvard then. Then he moves into the US Navy, and he is quickly accelerating into a prominent legal career within the Navy. And then the Department of Justice, another pristine, corruption-free institution in the United States, appoints him to a position as Attorney General in Florida. And it is while that happens, at the end of that his sister dies, and then a year later he is in as a representative and has a meteoric rise. But in as much as the student career in Harvard and Yale and its so British-friendly background is sort of easy to spot on the surface, the US Navy doesn't seem particularly British-friendly, is it? But of course it is. It was as a maritime power that the United Kingdom established its global power, and they have always had deep inroads into the US military. For example, at the time, it was his line manager, if you like, in the Navy, when you go up the command structure, retired and joined Kinetic out of London, Q-I-N-E-T-I-Q. Anything with a Q in it is potentially the Queen, because of course the Queen has, and the royal family, let's just say now, has huge investments in aerospace and defence and all of that military industrial complex stuff which the British are plugged deeply into, and Kinetic is a major player. So this Navy, that's Kinetic's robotics machines. These are automatic machines for killing peasants in large numbers. It's wonderful pieces of machinery. I'm sure it's highly admirable work. And of course they're involved in next generation battlefield tactical communications, and they're involved in military air crew training, etc. So this is the British establishment military industrial complex connections which come along with the Navy. So what have I got at the end of all that, and what have you got at the end of all that? Well, if he was a suspect, we'd have to let him go, wouldn't we? Because although we have a lot of circumstantial and we may have a degree of suspicions, we got nothing on the guy. And as far as we can see, he's still clean. Maybe after all, Ron DeSantis is just what he seems to be. A straight up dude who's on our side. Or maybe he isn't. It's up to you. My own conclusions? Well, there's no smoking gun. But there's a distinct smell of cordite in the air. Okay. That's it for this special feature as we count down the hours now on November the 15th to the potential announcement of a presidential run by Donald J. Trump and a potential competitive bid for that nomination by the subject of our inquiry this evening, current Governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. I'll be back with more very soon. Thanks for joining me on this one, and I look forward to your company on the next one. But in the meantime, forwardbreakfornews.com and informedconsent.ie. This has been Fintan Dunn reporting. See you soon. Thanks for joining me, and click the like because they're suppressing this channel. YouTube, they just deleted more of my content. In fact, they're now chasing after me, deleting content days after I put it up. So your like will definitely help to offset that and alert others to the fact that, hey, this channel is better than YouTube says it is. Okay, see you soon.